Okay, so imagine that you wake up one morning and there's a note on your door that says the neighbor's uh, window is broken and you need to pay $500 to have it replaced. Okay? And you're like, what? Why would I pay $500 to have the neighbor's window replaced? And you're like, I am not going to do this. Like, this is so unfair and inappropriate. And I didn't do this. And there's no reason why I should pay for it. And I'm not going to pay for it. And you spend like weeks fighting this, okay? I feel like that's sort of what happens to us when we get dropped on this planet, okay? Like, a while back, my kid was playing soccer and broke the window of the neighbor by kicking the soccer ball into it. And I was very disappointed because $500 was like way more money than I felt comfortable spending on something unexpected at that point. But because I knew that my kid had done it, I was like, absolutely, of course, I will pay this $500. Like, I'll make it happen. I'm so sorry it happened. And like, I'll take care of it. No problem. Right? Um, it was a little bit more, there was other things, but I'm simplifying for the sake of this metaphor. Okay. So I feel like we get on this planet and we're like, why is this life so hard? Like, what is going on? Like, why am I paying all these bills and dealing with all these difficult relationships and difficult circumstances and difficult sicknesses and difficult mental health issues and difficult, you know, uh, oppressions from the world? And I'm like, what is going on? This is not fair. Like, I didn't do anything. And maybe we don't understand that, like, not that we like are being punished. I don't believe that at all. But like, we don't understand what happened before. Cuz when I pay for the window that my kid broke, I'm not being punished. I'm just doing what makes sense, you know? It's just like, "Oh yeah, of course." Um and when I come here and I struggle through, a big theme of my life has been trying to find a firm foundation mental health wise. And I spend, I joke about it, but that's my part time job. But the truth is, I spend 20 hours a week, if not more, um, just interacting with my mental health, being committed to what I eat and drink and how I sleep and how I meditate and journal and what classes I take and, what practices I integrate and time with my therapist and all this stuff. And it's like, maybe there are other people on the planet who are just like skipping around and they're not dealing with anything like that. I don't actually think that's the case. But maybe in those moments when I'm like, it's not fair. Like, why is life so hard for me? Like, I didn't do anything. Maybe I'm not understanding that, like, there's like there's more to the story, basically. Like, and if I knew the whole story, then I'd be like, oh yeah, of course I'll pay for the window. Like, my kid broke it. And if I knew the whole story with this thing that we're doing, maybe I would be like, oh yeah, of course, like I'll spend a lifetime like really struggling to figure out how to be okay and how to stay on this planet. Like, yeah, no problem. Of course, that makes total sense. Absolutely, you know. Um, so again, this is like a paradigm that I can choose, and if I choose that, it's kind of like, okay, if like let's say I, you know, ended up breaking a law and they like put me in jail and I needed to stay there for like a year or something, or maybe 30 years. I'd be like, okay, yep, that is like this, like 1 + 2 = 3, and I would like make the best of it. So I feel like it's what was the word that Jessa used the other day? Mythology. If this is like a myth that I can take on, like I just know a part of the story. And if I knew the whole story, it would all make sense. So I'm just going to go along with it as if I knew the whole story and as if it made perfect sense. I'm just going to be like, yeah, yeah. I will pay for that window, even though I don't, I'm just going to assume that like my kid broke it or I broke it or like it makes perfect sense. So I'm just gonna assume that this makes perfect sense and that it's all a really legitimate, like, fair story, which is a leap in those moments when you're in despair. I'm not saying you go there when you're in despair. Like, go ahead and grieve and be in despair when you're in despair. But in those other moments where you're like, Jesus, why is this so hard? It feels good to be like, I think maybe it all makes sense. I just don't know the whole story. Okay, love you.